This is a tutorial on how to make a console cable for a Lantronix 1620. I don't know if the other Lantronix have the same type of console cable, but it's the cable that goes from the back of the Lantronix into the console cable on a Cisco router or switch. Basically, you're just going to need a simple Cat5e cable. One end is crimped with the standard straight through end. Don't know if you can see that very well. And one end I've actually pre-prepared so that this video isn't tremendously long. You're only going to need the green, white, green, blue, white and the blue. And as you can see, I've taken the solid blue and I've stripped it so all the copper is exposed. And then the green, white, what I actually did to expose the metal on this one, instead of going in here and stripping the metal, I actually just used the tip of my soldering iron and I just rubbed it along so that it would expose the metal, and it seems to work pretty well. I know there's probably going to be quite a few trolls that say, oh no, you shouldn't do it that way, but you know what, I don't really care. That's the way I do it. It works, so leave me alone. So now that the wire is exposed, I'm going to use this pair of helping hands. I don't know if you've ever used them before, but they are a big help. The basic tools that you're going to need in this: wire strippers, that's what you just go around the cable so it exposes it. You can need a pair of wire cutters to expose the metal, and an RJ45 crimper. You also need an RJ45 tip as well, so that when you're ready to slide it into the pins, you just use your crimpers to get that done. So use the helping hands to get that in there. And this helps out a lot when trying to solder. I don't know if any of you are soldering experts. I'm not saying that I'm a soldering expert at all, but I'm just an amateur, probably going to do this all wrong. So if you want to say something about it, then feel free. As it turns out, my solder is not hot enough. So I'm just going to turn it up. It should take just a few seconds for it to heat up. Make sure that's zoomed in on the right spot so you can actually see what's going on. I'm just going to pause the video for waiting for this to heat up. Okay, the soldering iron is now heated up sufficiently. Now, like I said, I'm no expert, so if you want to make fun of me, then go right ahead. So what I do is just put a little bit of soldering iron first, and just get the wires warm. This can take just a few seconds. As you see, it's on there. That's that part done. Give the soldering iron a little clean on the end. That to me is the hardest part, since I'm not very good at soldering. I'm just going to turn my soldering iron down, let it cool off. Now, just to warn you that the end of this cable is probably quite hot. Just to the touch, it's slightly warm, but it's okay to touch now. So I can actually take that off. So now we're exposed this little part right here. And you see a little blob of solder. That should do perfectly. And now we can put the end on. Now what I usually do for protection on the cable is I put one of these sleeves over it. I should have done this first just so that I don't damage the solder joint that I just made. But usually you can put it on. Now I like to keep my console cables red just so that I know when I look on the back of the rack that it is a console cable. So there it is, it's on there. So to slide them in, perfectly, I'm going to need that solder joint just shy of where each one of those pins goes in. So I'm going to need to cut it about here. Let's just take the wire cutters, give it a cut, and the pins for it are green white goes to pin 2, green goes to pin 3, and both the solid blue and the blue white go to pin 5. Now this can be the trickiest part of the whole operation. Now, I think that went all the way to the end, so if I just look, I know you won't be able to see it on the video, but I can see that it's all the way in there, it's meeting the metal on the end of this, so I just hold it on there, take my drive 45 crimpers, make sure it's going to crimp the right way and not knock it out of my hands in the process. Now this may take some practice. The first few cables that I made didn't actually turn out properly, it didn't work at all. Just slide it in there, crimp down, and that's it. Slide the little boot back up there. Don't have to slide it on all the way. Try and make it look somewhat pretty, so when you look at the back of your rack, this is all safe. It's got that little solder joint in there and this won't move around too much. And on the other end, this is a crimp that I made earlier, and that's that end. This end is the one that plugs directly into Lantronix on the back, and this end with the straight through connection is the one that will plug into your Cisco router or switch, whichever you're plugging into. So that's that. Thanks for watching.